This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No. Y'all,
This
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Thursday, party people.
Hey.
I thought we were raising the roof over here.
Well,
1991.
Erica did, and you threw in a.
That's some fun. It's nighttime.
I like it. Participation. All right. Today we're starting with Alec Baldwin. So get this. He will be prosecuted for the shooting that happened on set of the movie Rust that killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins. If you recall, Alec shot the gun that killed her. It was supposed to be loaded with blanks, but was not. Alec will be charged with involuntary manslaughter, and if found guilty, he could face a maximum of 5 years in prison. Alec denied any wrongdoing in this interview with ABC, saying all he did was follow instructions. Alex was not the only one charged, so was armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who was in charge of the weapons on set.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, I'm shocked that he was charged at all. I just didn't think there were grounds for it, him shooting that gun. But Erica, you have a very interesting perspective as he is the producer of this film.
Yeah, and we've gone through, or we've gotten information from the actual documents and stuff that said that it wasn't just exclusively the fact that he was the producer, it was also the fact that he was the actor who shot the gun. I think those two together, though, are the reason why Alec Baldwin is being charged. Of course, the armorer, that was going to be a no-brainer. It was her responsibility to ensure the safety on the set.
Also, talk about a picture that didn't age well.
Right. But Alec Baldwin, being the producer on set, also decisions were made. If you remember when we first started covering the story, we were talked about the fact that he didn't use union people. So if you're not going to use a union skilled labor who already, they're governing themselves, and you're going to opt for a woman who's in her early 20s, and not to say that she can't do a job, but she's certainly not going to have the same type of criteria, safety checks and balances that a union labor is going to have, or armorer is going to have. So I think Alec Baldwin being charged with involuntary manslaughter makes a lot of sense in this case.
And not to get away from, obviously, the terrible tragedy that happened here, but Erica, as you were speaking about union and non-union labor, Jeff, you've worked on big movies and small movies. I feel like this could possibly go on to hurt the smaller films, because when everybody says, I want a smaller production, like kind of an artsy film, you're not going to have the budget of an Avatar 2 or a Marvel movie. And I wonder if this is going to permanently affect smaller projects, because if people do feel the need, like we have to get union, which obviously is ideal, and yeah, there's a reason that the big networks get them. Union workers are great, but if you cannot afford them with your budget, I just wonder if this will forever damage the small picture business. That being put aside, Erica, I just always look at the greater good or detriment of society. And when I think about Alec Baldwin behind bars, or even just on trial every day on court TV or something, are we any better as a society for that? I get the idea of there being some type of punishment, some type of punitive damages awarded. I'm all for that. But putting somebody in jail that I feel like is probably already in jail in their mind and in their heart forever, I just don't see the point in that. But you make a good point, as always. I do see where the prosecutor could make that decision, but I think ultimately the decision does lie with the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to involuntary manslaughter, we got to think about some of the circumstances that could mean, because there are people sitting in jail all over the world, or all over this country, with involuntary manslaughter for acts that it's unintentional. You're doing something that we all know we shouldn't be doing, but people do all the time. You're on the phone, you're drinking your coffee, you're yelling at your kids in back, and then you slam into a vehicle and you kill someone. Like, your negligence caused that accident. These are all very pedestrian acts that we do all the time and hope for the best, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility because that's negligent and it's criminal. So when we're having this conversation, I understand because it's someone that we have seen forever, you might have a different feeling about it, but like that could be your neighbor, you know?
Right.
And when we talk about the smaller production suffering, I do want to just go on record and say, I'm not advocating one way or the other for union versus non-union labor.
Yes.
I'm simply saying that point was brought up in the very beginning, that some union armorers were interviewed or spoken to at that point, and they said in the beginning that they had causes for concern based on the negligence on that set and how they wanted to proceed. So I think that there were...
Don't forget, people walked off that set because of
Exactly. So, you know, I understand when you're looking at someone thinking like, oh man, it was an accident and now they have to face charges. But the truth is, people that don't have that same fame as Alec Baldwin have been facing these charges forever.
Yeah. Just a counterpoint, we got to move on. Like, if my mechanic was proven that my brakes went out because my mechanic screwed up that job and I hit someone and killed them, involuntary manslaughter, and it was proven that my mechanic, the reason I crashed, was because of my mechanic. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, it was her fault she put bullets in that gun. I still think it wasn't Alec Baldwin's fault that he was the actor who actually fired it.
But who was responsible for her being on set in that position?
Right, and like going back to Al's point, I think there should be repercussions for that. Maybe dissolve Alec Baldwin's company. You can't make small movies anymore. Maybe a fine. Jail time and manslaughter, I don't know if that's the right decision. Right. But we're going to have to see. It's going to go to a jury now. All right, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. Police have released new details surrounding the death of country singer Naomi Judd. And just a warning, this story does discuss the topic of suicide. The Sheriff's Department in Williamson, Tennessee revealed that Naomi had attempted to kill herself 6 other times. She died by self-inflicted gunshot wounds last year. Police also released an image of a note saying, quote, "Don't let Naomi come to my funeral. She's mentally ill." Naomi's family sued the Sheriff's Department to try to prevent them from releasing information about her death, but dropped the suit last month. That's why we're learning all these new details, because they're releasing them. Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
I don't know what their relationship obviously was strained, but to see that in a suicide note is your last thought.
I thought it was a foul act to let that out. When the family's grieving, to just put that on top of it, it's not helping us understand like a crime. That's the final piece. This is just internet fodder. To release something so personal that a mother wrote on her deathbed to her daughter, I feel dirty for even reading it and knowing about it. The question, Erica, that I keep coming back to is anything personal anymore?
No.
Is anything worth just keeping to yourself? That police unit, I'm sure they've got some secrets that they haven't released. So why do we know about this?
Well, and that's why I believe the family came forward in the beginning as they did, like shortly after Naomi's passing. I do want to add this, though, because when you're talking about what the public needs to know, and the idea that she had attempted 6 times before is very common. So I do want to say to anyone who is struggling out there or knows someone who is struggling, take those attempts or ideologies very seriously, because it's not necessarily, I know a lot of people get accused of using this for attention. Even if it's a cry for help, it's another step forward to ultimately attempting and succeeding.
Right.
So I do want people just to be aware that this happens a lot, that people attempt more than once.
Yeah, and we do have some numbers that we want to put on the screen for anyone who's feeling any type of way. Just like Erica said, we want to put those up there. You know, like Erica said, give a call. If you're feeling this type of way, call. And I do want to make a correction. For some reason, I said, don't let Naomi come to the funeral. It's don't let Winona come to the funeral. I just interchanged those names. Either way, yes. If you guys are feeling some type of way out there, please use that as help. We'll be right back. It's a new year, and DBL is all the talk.
Let's get it going.
We had a lot to talk about last year.
I'm flexing every day.
And we're not stopping in 2023. I'll see you guys on the flip side. So we didn't get to this. Alec Baldwin's attorney just released a statement right now. He's saying Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe that there was a live bullet in a gun or anywhere on the movie set. He relied on the professionals whom he worked with. There's more to that, but I mean, if you hire someone that's negligent and there wasn't supposed to be any live rounds, but you're the producer, and then they go on their own and get live rounds, are you technically still responsible for that?
Well, I think
just because of who you hired. I don't. Right. I see your point totally.
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly, but honestly, I see Alec Baldwin going to trial. I don't see him getting jail time.
Yeah.
A lot of people in involuntary manslaughter charges get probation. I mean, it could go either way. So, especially because obviously the armorer is very much culpable. Perhaps this is seen as like just a slap on the wrist or a deterrent to others in order to make sure that these sets are more safe, that everyone can be responsible. I would be very shocked if he actually saw jail time.
Yeah, I was never on a big movie set, like a big, Avatar or anything like that. I was never on a movie set like that. But I was on small movie sets, and I think they're extra cautious just because of who they are, right? They don't want to get a license pulled or something like that. And then I was on one during COVID, and it was really strict.
I remember when you were doing
that.
And
it was like test before you even look at anybody. So they really follow the protocols on small movie sets, at least the ones I've been on. So for something like this to happen with Alec Baldwin's name attached is almost ridiculous.
Yeah, but people were walking out over safety issues. So, I think that's one thing that could make them look really bad at trial. It's and I think they had walked out like that day or the day before.
Yeah, it was recent.
So clearly some bad things were happening on
Welcome back. Shakira allegedly did some detective work to determine her ex was cheating on her. So this is all alleged, okay? Shakira and her husband of 11 years split last year, but she reportedly discovered he was being unfaithful over a jar of jam. After coming home from traveling, she noticed, check this out, an empty jar of strawberry jam in the fridge. The thing is, everyone in her family, except her, hates jam.
That was the original title of Everybody Hates Chris, and then they just went to jam. Yeah, this is super. This is weird, and I know we're focusing on the jam, and there is some humor to that, but it wasn't the jam. She was feeling that. She was feeling, and just telling every guy, don't cheat. They know. I know you think they don't know. I know you're going to be the first guy to get away with it, and your girl's dumb. I get it, bro. They know. They know, fellas.
How about is it more disrespectful to be cheating like in a hotel, or like in your house and like kind of just eating jam, just eating jam
in your house?
But the jam contributes.
Oh my gosh!
Like, don't just make yourself a sandwich.
It's definitely just to answer the question. Hard stop. In your home. Are you kidding me? We got to burn this sucker down now.
Yeah.
Like, no.
No, for real.
No,
Wait a second. Erica, you made a thing when I made a thing about the salad dressing with, was Jason Sudeikis? I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
And
Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde and...
Yeah.
Yes.
The salad dressing with Harry Styles, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's my point. That salad dressing is this jam. You don't make another man your salad dressing, and you don't eat your wife's jam in her kitchen.
Those are two different things.
They
are two different things. Listen, let's assign points to the system, okay?
Talk to me.
Now, something as intimate as like the house is like 100, okay?
The house is big.
Something as intimate as your favorite salad dressing is like a 2. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. In comparison to your home, this person came. You think this person came into your home
and was comfortable,
went into your refrigerator,
and comfortable enough to eat the jam.
Ate your jam because what was she doing before and after the jam? Jamming with your man.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm.
Yeah.
It's deep.
But do you think there was some sinister stuff on the internet, like knowing that you're cheating with Shakira's husband, you're like, this is Shakira's jam.
Yeah.
Kind of like spitefully eating it.
Yeah, and then
maybe using it in sexual acts.
I don't know. Look, This is level 10 disrespect, and I feel like the jam, no pun intended, was a cherry on top, but this is what happens when you have something that's going off the rails and you continue to let it go, because I guarantee you she knew something was going on before this.
Yeah.
She wasn't just checking jam levels every day. She knew something was going on with her man, and this was just the cherry on top. But, you know, good on Shakira for freeing herself. And
well, I don't know if she's free, because she got a witch on her balcony right now facing her ex-mother-in-law's allegedly house.
How long before the remakes of My Hips Don't Lie, My Jam Don't Lie?
Oh,
it's coming out.
That's happening on the internet
Internet
already.
sleuths get on it. Coming up on DBL, we talk with best-selling author Deepak Chopra all about his new book.
According to the FBI, wire fraud cost victims $6.9 billion in the U.S. last year. Concern over cybercrime prompted Rita Moore to ask if it's best to use a cashier's check instead of a wire transfer when she closes on her home in January. Let's verify. Our sources are Wells Fargo Bank and Andy Green, cybersecurity expert at Kennesaw State University. Wire transfers are the most common way to exchange money during the purchase of a home. On its website, Wells Fargo explains that it's fast, easy, and typically irreversible, and because of all that, frequently used in fraud schemes.
It's easy, it's safe, but there are also some threats associated with it.
Andy Green tells us you can neutralize the threat of a fraud scheme. He explained that the request for a wire transfer will typically come by email. Green says before you wire any money, make sure the email came from the right people.
Call the closing attorney and have a conversation with their paralegal, somebody on their staff, and verify. Just ask the simple question, hey, I got this email with these routing details. Is this the actual detail?
Some cashier's checks offer security features to reduce the risk of fraud for a fee, but Green says there's no guarantee. He says it's important not to let anyone rush you.
We get worked up and think, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And the criminals are relying on that pressure that you feel internally.
So we can verify that no, a cashier's check isn't necessarily safer than wiring money to avoid fraud. Our experts tell us that whatever route you take, it's important to take extra steps to avoid being victimized.
Welcome back to DBL. Our next guest is a New York Times best-selling author who has been paving the way to alternative medicine for the past 30 years. Earlier, we spoke with Deepak Chopra about his newest book, Living in the Light. Take a look. Please welcome Deepak Chopra.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
When you first began your yoga journey 45 years ago, did you feel intimidated to start like so many of us do?
You know, I come from a culture where yoga is part of our tradition, and it's been there for thousands of years. And so it's a book I wrote just now is one aspect of yoga that completes the totality of yoga. So, you know, there are 8 limbs to yoga: social, emotional, intelligence, the yoga postures that people practice when they go to a studio, breathing techniques, withdrawal of the senses and learning how to navigate the inside of your body, concentration, meditation, and ultimately transcendence. So in my tradition, again, as I said, there are four phases of life. First 25 years, education. Second 25 years, fame, fortune, taking care of your family. Third 25 years, giving back. And the last phase, which I'm in now, preparing for the final chapters, which is death and self-realization. So for me, I've just followed my journey.
What a beautiful outlook.
What a journey it has been, sir. Personally, I'm on my 38th yoga class, and I'm telling you, it's changed my life. So I appreciate it. Yeah, well, thank you. And your book, you explain to readers how to be in the light. What was the most memorable experience that brought you into the light personally?
Well, the most memorable experience was actually, I'm embarrassed to say, when I was 18 years old and in medical school. And we went through an experience as part of a medical trial, or what you might say, investigation or, science, an LSD trip.
Okay.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
So, Deepak, we saw you address world leaders, comparing them to gangsters. Is there anyone you feel represents what a true leader looks like?
Well, Martin Luther King Jr., a true leader. Nelson Mandela, true leader. Mahatma Gandhi, true leader. Abraham Lincoln, true leader. There are many, but right now I think the only two people I can think of is the current Prime Minister of Ireland and the Prime Minister of New Zealand. They're low and very effective and honest and truthful.
I was waiting for New Zealand.
I was
waiting. I love her leadership.
Jacinda. Love her.
Exactly. Well, you do great work through your Never Alone Foundation for Suicide Prevention. How can loved ones help this younger generation feel seen and heard?
We're talking in this campaign through our foundation, neveralone.love, of four things: attention, deep listening; affection, deep caring, empathy, compassion; appreciation, deep gratitude; and acceptance, radical acceptance of everyone just as they are. And we are creating online and offline programs to help people feel that they're never alone. And actually, our emotional chatbot, which is an AI, has intervened in 6,000 suicide ideations and is talking to 20 million people all at the same time. It turns out, you'll be surprised, that teenagers are more comfortable talking to a machine than to a human being because the machine doesn't judge them.
Yeah.
That was
powerful. We could listen to you all day, Deepak. Thank you so much for joining us. DBL Nation, make sure to pick up a copy of Deepak's newest book, Living in the Light, and visit neveralone.love for suicide prevention. Also, you don't want to miss Deepak's NFT collection, available now. To learn more, visit nft.time.com. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The U.S. began the day already $31.3 trillion in debt, according to the Treasury Department, and that's inching closer to the debt ceiling of about $31.4 trillion, the highest amount of debt the federal government can legally accumulate. We turn to a number of sources to answer the big questions, like first, why do we even have a debt ceiling? The Committee for a Responsible Budget explains the debt ceiling, or debt limit, was established during World War I as a way to make borrowing money easier and more flexible, and Congress has raised that limit many times since then. What happens when the U.S. reaches its debt limit? The debt can't rise past the ceiling, no more borrowing, so the federal government can only spend money it has on hand to pay for its obligations. In her letter to Congress, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen also warns the Treasury, quote, will need to start taking certain extraordinary measures to prevent the United States from defaulting, which essentially means doing some creative accounting on repaying certain funds and programs. Yellen expects spending only what we have, and those extraordinary measures will keep the U.S. in the clear until at least early June. So what if we do default? Well, we can only speculate because, as the White House explains, the U.S. has never intentionally defaulted after not raising the debt ceiling, but warns of widespread economic fallout if it does. This Treasury Department report further explains, quote, credit markets could freeze, the value of the dollar could plummet, U.S. interest rates could skyrocket, the negative spillovers could reverberate around the world, and there might be a financial crisis and recession as a result of default. The report examines the last time we teetered on the edge of default, back in 2011. Though Congress eventually did raise the debt ceiling, we came so close to the brink that the U.S. credit rating was downgraded. Job growth slowed, the stock market fell, and financial markets were overall stressed for months. And right now in 2023, there's real concern we'll head back to that precarious territory, with a vocal contingent of Republicans in the House of Representatives saying they will refuse to vote for a debt limit increase without certain spending cuts that could be really hard to agree on in this divided Congress. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
How much of our brains do we actually use? You've probably heard that it's only about 10%, which means we're missing out on a lot of untapped brain power. Verify viewer Lucia asked our team to find out if this theory is true or false. So Lucia, let's verify. We went to these sources for an answer, and they all agree. This claim is false.
We don't use only 10%, we use 100% of our brain.
Neuroscientist Dr. Eric Chudler says with the help of brain imaging techniques like functional MRIs and PET scans, scientists have proven that we use 100% of our brains every day.
And when you look at a brain image, all parts of the brain are doing something. There's no part of the brain that's just sitting there inactive.
So where did this myth come from? Chudler says one of the possible origination theories dates back to 1907.
Psychologist William James wrote in a very influential book that we only use part of our possible mental or physical resources, but he never put a percentage on it.
According to the Association for Psychological Science, James did not claim that humans only use a small portion of their brains. Instead, they say James was observing how decorum, social norms, and routines fail to engage all of people's resources. So we can verify, no. Humans don't only use 10% of our brains.
Welcome back. Check out these amazing products from our friends at MorningSave. Steph, what do you got for us today?
Check this out, Martha Stewart Essential 14-piece knife block set. These knives are only available in a very limited quantity, so make sure you get your set while you still can. So normally this set, I mean, look how beautiful these are, is $86, which is a good price, but guess what? We've got it for $39.99, saving you guys 54%.
One of my favorite things on your little list today.
Okay, this is one of my favorite things this week. It is the Laura Geller Warm and Wonderful Baked Eyeshadow Palette. So this deal includes one eyeshadow palette that has 31 colors that will complement all skin tones. Normally, this is $99, but we've got it for just $19.99, which is saving up to 80%. Up next, we've got the RVX Quad Action Percussion Massager. So this deal includes one massager that's got different interchangeable heads. So whether you need to relieve everyday tension or tight muscles after a workout, this massager provides pain relief wherever you need it. Normally, it is $120, but we've got it for just $29.99, which saves everyone 75%.
People think they don't need this, but then when you go to someone's house and they have it and you start using it, you're like, I need to get one of these. And at that price, get yourself one.
Our last product today, love these, live with them, use them all the time. 20-pack Glossmetics Cooling Under Eye Masks. So this deal includes 20 pairs of eye masks that are made with all natural ingredients, which makes them perfect for all skin types. Now, normally these are $100. They are expensive, but we've got them for just $24.99, which saves 75%. And honestly, you guys, I genuinely use these. I do recommend these. Fabulous. Love them.
Beautiful, Steph. I love it. Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can even scan the QR code on your screen to take you directly to these products on MorningSave's website. Again, thank you so much, Steph. Al was saying how he would feel guilty if he got one of those big chairs to lay in. Would you feel guilty just with a small one to do your back?
Yeah, I feel like I got to work first. But if I got all my work done, that big chair, that's what I'm doing.
Self-care is important, Al. Practice it.
I need more of that in my life.
We'll see you tomorrow.